They say working retail at the holiday season is like the real front lines. That you don't even know. You shouldn't be allowed to shop if you haven't worked retail. I've heard that before. I've also worked retail. But only stock. They never put me at the register. I have literally never been put at the register. I think it's because they can tell how special I am. And not in the good way. But I disagree. I think the real front lines are teachers. And I don't mean it in the blow smoke up their tush kind of way. I mean, I don't think anybody should be a teacher if they're not in therapy. Just like people say, soldiers should be in therapy after they leave. I think teachers should be in therapy before they start. I don't want to leave my kid with anyone who's not been in therapy. Maybe that's just me.
Oh, but not everybody needs therapy. Some people are normal.
I disagree. I think everybody could use some therapy. And I don't think that necessarily means you need a therapist. I think it means you need to have worked on yourself. But the only way to prove that would be a history in therapy. Now, why do I feel this way? I was a teacher for over a decade, nearly 15 years. And I meant it didn't stay for the last 15, so I can say 15 years. But a little bit was under the table. Working with children means actively addressing your childhood on the go. Doesn't matter what age group you're working with, they're all going to trigger you. You know, it doesn't matter if they're 17 or 4, they're all going to trigger you. They're going to get under your skin. Even Jesus, he was a teacher. He had to go off and pray periodically just to kind of process. And I think every teacher can relate to that. To teach means to remember learning. That alone, you're going to remember stuff. Teaching can be traumatic. And not just in America because of all the guns, particularly the guns inside the schools. Even doing this channel. To teach is to remember. All of my biblical lessons, I'm remembering learning them as I teach them. And the thing to learn today, for all teachers and all who teach, that's parents too, you need to rest. You need to reflect. Jesus told us to respect the Sabbath, to choose a day of the week to look inward. Even God needed to rest. And the way that we treat teachers today, they're working the whole time. It used to be they took off for summers. Not anymore. Their job could be in jeopardy in some schools if they don't agree to work for at least part of the summer. They have to lesson plan at home. They got to prep for projects. I don't think anybody knows a teacher who isn't working off the clock. And that needs to change because they got no time for therapy unless they make time, in which case their job suffers. This is messed up. And I know this isn't really a super religious lesson, but I felt really passionately about it today. Today I say, respect your body. Respect the need to rest. To teach is to remember. To remember is to be forced to process. You gotta chill. And how do I know all these teachers have trauma? Because they chose to be teachers. And that means they don't want anybody else to struggle the way they did in some way. Or they had a fantastic teacher, in which case those poor little guys had no idea what they were getting into. Rest. And God bless you.